Hello, Business 201 students. For those that don't know me, my name is Angela Miller, and I am the teaching assistant for this class. I wanted to take a moment. I was going through some of the graders and realized that many of you have not submitted your grader more than once, even if you're struggling or having trouble. So I wanted to kind of go over some of the things that you have available to you to be able to be very successful and to get the best grades that you can on your graders. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and here we go. And we're going to kind of go through this PowerPoint that I have created. So all of the graders for Access and for Excel, you are allowed to submit each grader up to 2 times. So if you go through the grader and you submit it and you got a, 48 on the grader, then you can actually look at the report from that grader to see what you did wrong, and then you can correct those mistakes and resubmit your grader. So I'm going to kind of walk you through how to access that report and how to read it so that you have all the tools available to you and the best resources to get the best grades possible, right? Because that's our goal. We want to help you succeed, and this is one of the ways that we can do that. So the first couple of slides here are just going to kind of walk you through how to get there. So just bear with me if you've already, obviously you've already seen some of these because you submitted your graders, but just in case somebody needs it, here they are. So this is just your Blackboard screen, and you're going to click on your Business 201 course, okay? So whatever that extension is for you, it's just your 201 course. Once you do that, on the left-hand side, there's the menu options. You want to go to that My Lab IT Assignments and e-textbook. You're just going to click on that, and then that's going to bring you to this, and all you got to do is just click on this folder. From there, you have lots of different options here, okay? So you can see here, like, you can go just to your grades, you can go just to your notifications, just specifically to your assignment calendar. For this purpose, you want to make sure that you're going to your course materials. This is the same place you went to download your course materials in order to do the grader in the first place, so you should be familiar with that. Once you do that, that kind of sends you into the My IT Lab. And whether you're working on Access or you're working on Excel, you want to click on whichever folder that you're working on at the time. So for this demonstration, we're going to click on the Access folder. From here, you can see it gives you your e-textbook. So if you're trying to figure out where that e-textbook is, here it is, guys. You can find it right there. There's also some additional resources. The simulated training is here, the quizzes, the exams, and of course, we've got the grader projects, which is what we're talking about today, is those grader projects. Once you click on that, it's going to break down all the different grader projects that you have. And look here, if you didn't notice this before, it does tell you right on here what that due date is. And so you want to make sure that you're submitting your assignments by that due date. If you haven't done so already, make sure you have an actual calendar, a physical calendar that you can write down in, that you write down all of your assignment dates so that you can keep track very easily when things are due. It makes it a lot easier. Now, in this course, you do have the option of a 10% penalty per day should something go awry. Now, obviously, it's not something you want to use all the time, but if you're sick or if you have a family member that has had a problem or whatever the case may be that you weren't able to get your assignment done on time, you can still submit it late. You're just going to receive 10% per day penalty. So after 10 days, you're not going to receive any points. But up to that point, you're just going to receive that little bit of penalty. So you can still get some points, and those points are important. So once you're here, in order to actually access the materials for the grader, you would actually click on the chapter itself. But we don't need the materials for the grader, right? We're looking for that report. So in order to find the report from already submitting, we're going to actually click on these 3 dots right here. When we click on those 3 dots, it's going to open up this window, and in this window, we can view grades, we can view submission, and we can get information. Open it. But what we actually want to do in order to get that grader is we want to view submission. So what that does is that opens up a window that shows us all the different submissions that we've had for this assignment. So if you've actually submitted this assignment twice already, it's going to come up with two different two different entries here. And what it'll say is it'll have the date that it was entered, and it has the time that you submitted that entry. Okay. And then of course the grade for that entry. If you had two, then it would have two different times here. So once you get to this point, we're going to actually click on the submission that you want to view. So if there's two submissions here and you want to view the second one, you would click on that second one. So we're just going to click on that submission, and right here, this is where that report is. So this report has all the information on it that you would need to break down how it's actually grading your project. So you can see right here, it tells you what your grade was. Obviously, this one didn't get a super high score. We were just using it as an example. And so what happens is, like, you're going to look here and see it says open the speaker table in data view and use the search to location, right? So it tells you everything that it was supposed to have, but you're like, okay, what all did that really mean? What did I have to do for that? So what you can actually do is there's this arrow. Anytime you see this down arrow, that means there's more that can be expanded, and it's going to explain it to you in even more detail, right? So if we click on that, oh, well, I'll get to that in a second. And then there's also these two files over here that says to download the submitted file. So that means you're going to download the file that you submitted. So if you're like, hey, wait a minute, I know I had all that done and it came up with a 10 out of 100, you could actually download the submitted file to find out, did it get corrupted or did you actually upload the wrong file? And then the marked up report, we're going to talk about that in a minute. So like I was saying before, if you want to see what this is in more detail, exactly how it's graded, then you're going to click on that, and that's going to expand it out, right? So it tells you, like, line by line exactly what you missed points on. So this says the first name field of record 14 in the speaker table was not set to marijuana, right? So then you know you need to go back and fix that exact line item. So this is a really fantastic tool that you have at your disposal. So no matter what your grade is, even if you got a 98% and you wanted those last 2 points, if you look at this grader, it's going to tell you exactly where you lost those 2 points, and you can actually go back, correct those two, and then turn it back in. If you got a 20%, you can go back and correct it and turn it back in. If you submitted your assignment late, you are still allowed 2 submissions. So if you submit it late and you got a 70% and it was a day late, so that took off another 10%, right? So you only ended up with 60 points. I didn't pass. All you have to do is submit it again, fix those mistakes, and now all of a sudden it's gonna, you got all of them right. That would have normally been 100%, but because the late penalty, then it's only 90 points, right? So, but it's still a lot more than on that original 70. So it's always worth going back and doing that second attempt. All right. Now, like I said earlier, there is this marked up report, and this actually takes it one step further and gives you even more detail. So if you're reading this, you're like, gosh, I just really don't know where that's at. Click on this marked up report, and it actually shows you on your physical, on a template of what your file is, and you can actually click on these X's and these check marks, and it will tell you exactly what needs fixed on those particular files. So when you go to make the corrections, you can actually look at these files specifically and say, okay, this is the exact correction I need to make on this exact table or on this exact query or whatever. So it makes it very easy to figure out what you have going on. And when it comes to the final exam, going through and making these corrections now will make the final exam so much easier, because you'll have a very good understanding of exactly what you did wrong and how to correct it for the future, because the final exam is completely based off of what these graders contain. So you want to make sure that you have a good comprehension of what's happening. So I really hope that helped. I hope you guys we'll take the time to go back and really look at those graders and look at the reports for the graders so that you can have a better understanding of what's happening, because there's a lot of information there. And I tell you what, when you start getting the hang of it and you start using those graders, it takes off so much of the stress of trying to figure out, what did I do wrong? Why am I missing these points? And it makes it a lot easier and a lot more stress-free. So I hope that helped. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to join us for the tutoring labs. Those are available to you every single week, and I highly encourage you to participate, even if you just show up and do your assignment while everybody else is there. As you have questions, we're available. And if you don't have any questions, no big deal, right? You were there, you get passport points, and you move on with your day. And your assignment's done at the end. So that's always a bonus. Myself and Miss Wilson are also available to you. Feel free to use the in-course email and let us know what's going on. Make sure you send us a copy of your file whenever you're talking about your file, or send us a photo excuse me, or a screen print if you're dealing with a specific error message in your in-course email. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.